The Samsung Galaxy S7 has spawned two spin-offs, the Galaxy S7 Edge and the Galaxy S7 Active. One went for beauty, while the other went for toughness. Let's take a look at the differences between these two devices. The most obvious thing you're going to notice is that these two devices look nothing alike. No one's ever going to confuse them. One looks like a piece of fine jewelry, while the other is more like a tank. The Edge is made of glass and a metal frame, while the Active is primarily plastic. Now, people gave Samsung a hard time in the past for using plastic, but that was because it was more like an oily fingerprint magnet plastic. The Active is a hard plastic, it's smooth, and there's a nice grippy pattern on the back. The two devices are very similar in size, even though the Edge has a bigger display. That's because there's a lot more bezel around the Active, because it's basically in a case, which also makes it a lot thicker. And the thickness actually really feels nice in the hand. And there's another benefit, which is the bigger battery, but we'll touch on that later. Speaking of the display size, the Active is 5.1 inch like the standard Galaxy S7. It has the same screen resolution and it's Super AMOLED, but there's one big difference, and that is the display is shatter resistant. But notice I didn't say shatterproof. The Active display will still be cracked, but if you get a crack, it's not going to spiderweb throughout the entire display. It's going to be isolated to one crack, which is very nice. So obviously the Active is the more rugged of these devices, but not as much as you might think. So they both have the IP68 rating for dust and water, which means you can get them wet and dust is not going to be able to get inside. Now, you're still not going to want to keep these submerged for a long period of time just for fun, but if you're stuck in the rain, it should be fine. But what puts the Active above the Edge is the military STD810G standard. So this is some serious military stuff. It's rated for low pressure altitude testing, exposure to high and low temperatures, humidity, fungus, salt fog, rust, dust exposure, explosive atmosphere, shock, and even gunfire vibration. That's something that you're not going to find in a lot of phones. On the spec sheet, these two phones have a lot in common. They're almost identical, but one difference is battery size. So the Edge has 3600 milliamp hour battery, while the Active is 4000 milliamp hour battery. You can easily make it through a day in nearly 2 days if you really try to stretch it, and you could probably actually get it to close to 3 or 4 days if you're really stretching it using doze mode and power saving. And that's important because if you're using a rugged phone, you might find yourself in a situation such as in the wilderness out on a hike or something, and you don't have any power. You need to make your phone last for multiple days. With the Active, you can do that. Most of the differences that I've talked about have been in favor of the Active, but there's one thing that it doesn't have going for it, and that's availability. So in terms of pricing, the Edge and the Active are the same price. $100 more than regular Galaxy S7. But when you're going to buy one, you only have one place to go for the Active, and that's AT&T. Once again, AT&T has an exclusive on the Active line. They always have the Active line. It's unfortunate. It seems like rugged phones always seem up exclusive on some carrier. So if you want the Active, you're going to have to go to AT&T or buy an out-of-box case and put it on your Galaxy S7. So that's the main differences between these two phones. One is a little bit more rugged than the other one, and one can only be bought on AT&T. What do you guys think of the Galaxy S7 Active? Is this a phone that you're interested in, or does the exclusivity kill it for you? Thanks for watching, guys.